Hello there, welcome back to Technical Alpha. Today's topic is going to be about data types and variables. Okay, now we are going to look at the various data types we have in C and the variables and how to declare variables and how we can assign values to variables and so much more about data types and variables. So we have these basic data types C programming language, and these are some of the data types we have. We have what we call basic data types and derived data types, but in this case, we're going to be looking at what we call basic data types. Okay, now the first one is going to be integers. Okay, we have what we call integers. These are whole numbers like 1, 2, 3, and so on, as shown. These are whole numbers. Now, we have numbers with decimals, and these are regarded as float or sometimes called double. Okay, these are numbers with decimals like 1.0, 3.5, and so on. Every number that has a point or a decimal in it is called a double or a float. All right. We have what we call a character. Okay, characters. These are data types. Or these are types of data that have only one bit and can only carry one bit. A character is denoted with a single quote, covered within a single quote. Now we also have what we call strings. Now strings are covered with double quotes. I hope we're together. And strings, these are characters or a group of characters. Like for example, we have Simon. Simon has 5 bits. Now this becomes a string, it's no longer a character. So 5 characters made up a string. So a string is a collection of characters, alright? Then you also have what we call the Boolean data type. Now this Boolean data type only has 2 values, one which is true and the other is false. And this comes in a case of conditions where you have to either find out whether it's true or it's false. So let's go further. Let us look at variables. What is a variable? Okay, and how do we declare variables and how are they useful to us, right? Okay guys, now let us look at variables in C programming language. Okay, so what are variables? A variable in simple terms is a memory location where we are going to be storing values of a given data type. Alright, as we have looked at all the different types of data or the different data types we have in C, have to make stores or memory locations where these values are going to be kept. And if a memory location only calls for integers, it can only carry integers. Okay, now in order to use a variable, you must declare it first. Okay, so how do we declare a variable? You write the data type, for example like integer, of the variable that you're declaring, okay, so that you can use it in your program, and afterwards you have to put a semicolon. That's how we declare a variable. You start with the data type, then the name of the variable, lastly you put the semicolon. Okay, now you also have what we call variable initialization. All right, this comes as you write the variable itself, then the value that you have given to the variable. Okay, then lastly we put the semicolon. This is what we call variable initialization. This is when you assign a value to a variable. Alright, let us look at an example that will help us understand better. So now we have written our syntax for C, okay, the one that we are going to use. Now in this case, let us see how we declare a variable in real terms. So we are going to, as it was saying earlier on, we start with the data type here, then the variable. So let's first declare and then see how this works. So we shall say integer, then we can say x. Are we together? Now that's what we call variable declaration. We've declared x as an integer, so x will be carrying integers alone. Then to initialize this, we shall say x is equal to, let's say something like 3. Right? Now this is what we call variable initialization. Though you can also do this in one line, you can say like, can be like x, integer x is equal to 3. Alright, you can also do this in one line. Are we together? Now let us print x. If we want to print the value to see this is 3, let's come down and say print f. Now here we are going to use what we call format specifiers. if you're printing an integer, you're going to use %d. Okay, that's a format specifier for integers, then the variable that you're printing are together. Lastly, we put a colon. Now to run this, you're going to come to execute, compile and run, or else you can press F11 on your keyboard. Alright, save. Yes. Now you see it has printed 3 up here. This shows that it has printed the value of x. Okay, now let me first take you through format specifiers very fast. For the case of integers, you're going to be using %d. Alright, %d. Now for the case of characters, it's going to be %c, and then for the case of strings, it's going to be %s. We shall be using them more often so that you get to understand them better. But for percent, if you're going to print an integer, you first put the %d, then the integer you print. And if it's a double, you set %f, then the variable you're printing for that very double that you want to print. Alright, so in this case, we have seen how we declare a variable and how we do what? We initialize a variable and print it. So another thing you have to know, we have rules in naming variables. Okay, you cannot declare a variable starting with a number. For example, if you come here and say 1x, that's a wrong variable. That's a wrong way to declare a variable. But though you can declare x1, it's okay there. Okay, a variable name must not start with a number. Okay, but it can have a number within it, and it must not have white spaces. For example, you can say x space 1. That can't be a variable name. Okay, that is not allowed in C, right? And a variable name cannot be having white spaces. A variable name cannot be a reserved word. For example, you cannot say int double. All right, that can't happen because double is a reserved word in C. All right, we shall be looking at that with time. But thank you for watching this video. Hope you understood it better. But before we go off, let us see a simple calculator. For example, x is equal to 3. Let's declare another one. Int y is equal to, let's say 6. Right? Int z is equal to x plus y. Right? Now here when we are printing, we print z. So if I run this, you see now I've got the value of z, which is 9. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe.